Hi, everyone, and welcome to Restore Our Earth, highlighting Atlanta's sustainability initiatives. Thank you, everyone, for joining and tuning in with us this afternoon. I'm Jasmine McKeever. I'm president of the Georgia State University's Young Alumni Council. And again, thank you for doing your part to restore our Earth. We have a great panel discussion today with amazing Atlanta organizations that are doing the work to create long-term and short-term sustainability initiatives in Atlanta. So we have the Atlanta Office of Resilience, Georgia State University, Atlanta Hawks and State Farm Arena, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Georgia World Congress Center, and Goodr. So we're super excited to have our panelists. They are backstage ready to tell everyone what is going on in their organizations. But before we get started, we have a special message from our mayor, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Hello, I'm Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, happy to join you in celebrating Earth Day and proud that the city of Atlanta is part of the global conversation around how we can collectively engage in improving the health of our planet. We understand in Atlanta that we have a shared responsibility, and Earth Day challenges each of us to reflect on the environment, the footprint that we're leaving, and explore how we can inspire awareness, engagement, and activism in our communities. In Atlanta, we're already taking very important steps toward becoming a more environmentally sustainable city. You don't have to look any further than Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, where you will see featured energy-efficient lighting, low-flow toilets, recycling throughout the terminals, stations to refill water bottles, and charge electric vehicles. We've also instituted a single-use plastic ban. This begins at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport and continues through city-owned facilities throughout Atlanta. We also know that being good stewards of our planet goes much further than just conserving energy and water. Environmental sustainability is complex and it affects all of our communities, but our most vulnerable communities are often hardest hit. That's why we're working with concessionaires at Hartsfield-Jackson to donate unused food to nonprofits in Atlanta. Atlanta has taken a multifaceted approach to environmental sustainability, including adopting a 100% energy plan, which transitions city buildings to clean power by 2035. Setting and meeting our goal of making commercial buildings 20% more energy and water efficient. Opening the 280-acre Westside Park that will hold up to 30 days of emergency drinking water. Atlanta is the home of America's largest food forest, which provides fresh, healthy foods to Atlanta neighborhoods previously considered food deserts. Through emerging green technologies and public partnerships, Atlanta is committed to our vision of creating one Atlanta, a more affordable, resilient, and equitable Atlanta for all of our residents and our planet.
Thank you, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, for that wonderful message on what Atlanta is doing for our community. But first up, I'm so excited and honored to introduce Michelle Wiseman. Hi, Michelle. How's it going? So Michelle Wiseman, she is the Director of Waste Division and Outreach for the Mayor's Office of Resistance. So I will turn it over to Michelle and she will talk about what she is doing in her efforts on her side. Michelle, can you unmute? And then we can get started. Yes, there we go. We can hear you now.
There we go. Okay,
Yes.
excellent. So thank you all for joining us today on this global day of conversation. And we stand unified as Atlanta's downtown partners to communicate the importance of a collective environmental voice across our city, because really we know that cities are leading the way. And we're so thankful that we have a mayor that understands the issues that we're facing locally, nationally, and globally. We're also proud that Atlanta had a voice at the table during an international discussion last week on the Global Day of Conversation. So on Earth Day, we heard from leaders around the world discussing strategies focused on restoring our Earth. We heard from His Holiness Pope Francis. We heard from Prince Albert of Monaco, the former presidential hopeful, and environmentalist Tom Steyer was a part of the conversation. There were celebrities and youth leaders from around the world. My personal favorite was Gina McCarthy and John Kerry and many others. It was an entire day. If you did not get an opportunity to visit during Earth Day, please check out earthday.org and go and listen to some of those conversations. We're also really grateful that on a national level, the U.S. is stepping up to introduce the most aggressive plan ever proposed to combat climate change. Last week, President Biden convened worldwide leaders calling for a plan to get to net zero emissions by 2050. That's a big deal. This Green New Deal will create high-paying jobs, improve air and water quality, expand food access, while acknowledging systemic racism. And we know that sustainability and resilience is not just about the environment. It also recognizes that for us to evolve and create a better future, some of the actions of the past need to be removed or improved. And the past year has really exposed some inequalities that we can no longer ignore. And for this reason, the Office of One Atlanta is dedicated to our most pressing issues: equity and inclusion, immigrant affairs, LGBTQ rights, and resilience. And this is why we look at everything through the lens of equity, and why we must develop climate literate youth. By allowing our communities and the next generation to understand these issues, they can help with the solutions that will ultimately develop skills that will prepare them for their future. And that's why our office has established the Sustainability Ambassador Program. It's offered twice a year, and it's an 8-week program that highlights all the pillars of sustainability. And it encourages our graduates to go out and do individual and collective acts of green. They see themselves as not just bystanders, but actors in the global movement. And that's why environmental literacy is so important. We can't sit on the sidelines as spectators, because we know that a successful democracy requires engagement. For example, in addition to the Browns Mill Food Forest that the mayor mentioned, Atlanta has many community gardens. We need residents to participate. Go over and help clean out the beds, plant some peppers or tomatoes and collard greens. This will create a deeper connection to the soil, the benefits of fresh food, and connect us to a healthier body. Seeing gardens and fresh foods in your community instead of fast food and package stores will set our youth on a healthier trajectory. Atlanta is also part of the Food Matters cohort. It's a national network of cities that develop best practices to reduce food waste. We'll hear more about that later, but we're educating restaurants, schools, venues, health inspectors, and others on ways to divert excess food at the end of an event and make sure that it gets into the bellies of those in need and not into the trash that creates methane gas. Atlanta is part of the American Cities Climate Challenge, committed to reducing gas emissions in the built environment. This initiative focuses on buildings, clean energy, and sustainable transportation. Everything has a butterfly effect. Turn on the water. It takes energy to pump that precious water that we drink or flush and sometimes take for granted. We're really looking at everything through a circular economy, from food waste and compost to single-use plastics. We're working with our procurement department to make sure that we are using our resources thoughtfully. I mean, it all works together, right? So now it's time to restore our Earth. Let's take the gloves off and have those tough conversations that will help prepare us for our future. Let's collectively develop solutions that include everyone, Let's be a part of the global movement to bring thoughts together, to develop skills and abilities in our kids that will prepare them not just to be workers, but entrepreneurs, business owners, and inventors. Let's support conversations in small and large groups, in schools, churches, and all across the world. Understand that it's not just individual acts, but us all working together that are needed right now to restore our earth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And that is a good point. It is not just individual efforts, it takes everyone to collectively restore our earth. And for those of you guys who are tuning in, please make sure to use our chat and our comments. Place a question for any questions you have for any of our panelists. We will do a Q&A at the end to make sure we answer any questions. So please use the chat, and we'll be sure to answer your questions at the end. Next up, we have Lenore Music, Executive Director of Dining and Sustainability at Georgia State University. Hi, Lenore.
Hi, everybody. How's it going out there today? I wanted to first say what an honor it is to be on a panel with so many enlightening people that have such visions on the direction that we need to go to restore our earth. So sustainability initiatives plays a big part in everyone's lives, not just the people here on the panel or the people we're trying to reach. It reflects on everybody, and Georgia State students don't feel any different. A few years ago, Georgia State students actually decided to tax themselves to start a fee fund so that we can make more sustainable efforts here at the university. Vendors, their sponsorships, we're now requesting that they actually contribute to our sustainability initiative projects, and therefore some of their sponsorship money is going towards some of these projects that we can do and use across the campuses. Some examples of those fee funds that we have been able to use that are voted on by students and by their peers are things such as a hydroponic garden, where the leafy green vegetables that we grow inside actually go to our dining hall facilities, and they're actually served straight fresh from our hydroponic garden. Then we also support the Panther Pantry, which is helping feed food insecure students and staff. That has actually been getting a lot more recognition lately. We are working on some raised garden beds and also building a greenhouse on top of the Georgia State Stadium, i.e. the Center Park Stadium, used to be Turner Field. And all that, everything that is produced there will also go to support the pantry. Also doing some cooking demos to explain to students how to do that. We also partnership with the Sustainability Fellowship Program here at Georgia State, and that leads into a lot of different avenues as to sustainability on the campus. Lighting upgrades across the campus, most recently at the rec center, so helping facilities out with that as we've talked about in the past, the low flow toilets, the lighting upgrades, the better air units. So we're trying our best to keep up with the city and integrate ourselves into the sustainability market as well as everybody else. The other component of sustainability initiatives, which is a little different than other universities, is the fact that recycling falls in that category. So we also oversee the recycling component for the university. We are one of the few places in the state of Georgia that actually has a styrofoam densifier. So all your fun styrofoam that comes in from your computers, your TVs, those sort of things, we're able to densify that and make them 90% of their size. And then we're actually selling those to different vendors who turn around and repurpose those into benches, picture frames, those sort of things. So we're able to get that out of our landfills and contribute that somewhere else. We do cardboard, we do single stream, e-waste, metal, glass, which has now become, come back and extremely hot at the moment. We do hard to recycle drives. There's things that we do also in regards to clothing and appliances for move out. We collect these items. We do have a HOPE team here with the Georgia State Police where we donate those clothes to them so that they can donate them to homeless shelters and help do that instead of them, just ending up in the landfill. Appliances, we have our own maintenance team, so they're able to fix those refrigerators, those microwaves, and as we come across food insecure students, we're able to donate those to them. So it's such a wide range of everything that we do. I just can't explain how important it is to actually restore our earth and reach back out and see what we can do. It takes all of us to make this happen. So I love challenges, and I would love to see, some other actions coming up on this. Then that is about all I have at the moment. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lenore. And as a Georgia State alumna, I love to hear how my university is giving back. So again, you guys, if you have any questions in the studio audience, please put them in the chat. We will be sure to answer them at the end of our discussion. So next up, I am honored to present Sophie Armanakian, Director of Operations and Sustainability for Atlanta Hawks and State Farm Arena. Hey, Sophie.
Hello, thank you so much, Jasmine. It is my honor, one, being a Georgia State alumni as well, and two, speaking amongst the rest of you who are doing incredible work around sustainability. And I think that kind of leads me into, sustainability is a very broad and loosely used term. And I think what's incredible about this panel is that all of us are able to really speak about something that really helps move the needle, as there's a lot more to it than just recycling, just energy. Sustainability is part of everything we do. So what I would like to share with you guys today is my focus on and work around zero waste, what that means for me personally, for our organization, and just our community and beyond. So for starters, those of you who are not very familiar with the terminology, zero waste in simplified way means being able to divert 90% or more of everything that's being generated. So for us here at the arena, our responsibility is to ensure that when we host events and everything we bring into our arena, we can then responsibly divert from landfill by ensuring 90% or more does not go into landfill. And the way to do that is by either composting or recycling. And in order to be able to compost or recycle, it is really important to procure green. So our supply chain truly enables us being able to actually recycle items and or compost. When we do come across items that are difficult and or hard to recycle, a lot like what Georgia State does for its campus, we work very closely with CHARM. Those of you who are not familiar with CHARM, CHARM stands for Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, and you can take your items there that are not easily divertible. And another story about styrofoam, of what they do there, and we take a little bit of our styrofoam that come into the building, also to CHARM, and at CHARM, they take styrofoam and it turns into a block. 4 bags of styrofoam turned into a block that then is sent to Dow Chemical and used for insulation, which is pretty incredible to just see how it all has more life to it than just one-time use or single use. In order to operate zero waste, there are 3 things that are important. I spoke to supply chain and procuring green. The other piece to operating zero waste is infrastructure. You want to make it very easy for people to do the right thing. And for us specifically, our fans. When our fans come into our arena, we want to make it easy for them to play green. For us, it's about playing green off the court. So handing guests items that can be recycled and composted easily, and making sure that there's communication. We all talk about engagement. We are located in the South, where unfortunately, the behavior to do the right thing is not quite there. So we have a lot of challenges to overcome together collectively, and it takes us all on this journey to get to zero waste. And I think it's important to successfully engage with our fans and our team members who work here, who then go home into their own homes and their own communities. And really, the outreach is so broad. And it's our responsibility to ensure that we lead by example in doing the right thing here, and don't harm our communities, and ensure that we avoid sending items to landfill. So supply chain infrastructure, and the last thing is the communication engagement piece. Once you have those three in place, you can then say that you're on a path to achieve zero waste, which again, divert 90% or more from the landfill to be able to accomplish zero waste. And it's a journey that takes all of us working together, and it's an exciting journey. I think it's even more exciting doing it in the South because it's not so easy, because it's very rewarding. We get to really be proud of what we're able to do here. And one big milestone for us and amongst the NBA was our accomplishment to host the first ever Zero Waste All-Star Game out of the 70 All-Star Games that have taken place. And to do it in the South was incredible. And that was, our pilot program to show that it's possible. Now it's about being consistent because there is no finish line. What we are doing around sustainable operations is something that we have to be consistent with and continue doing the right thing. So thanks for allowing me to talk about zero waste.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And that is great to hear about the zero waste initiatives that are happening at State Farm Arena, and playing green off the court is such a great tagline. Again, everyone, please ask all your questions in the chat. We will bring all of our panelists back at the end to answer your questions. Next up, we have Don Brown, Tour Operations and Education Program Manager at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Hey, Don, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here. As Jasmine mentioned, I'm Don Brown, the Tours and Education Program Manager at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which in a typical year, we would be bringing people into our building, thousands of people each week, to showcase this amazing space that we have constructed in downtown Atlanta. That is an example of environmental stewardship. We talked about working together as a collaborative, as a community, and it's very important to, if you have the opportunity to build something amazing like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that you think about how that would impact the earth, the community around you. And what we have done here is several different amazing things. But for starters, as my role, as Tours and Education, I have been able to work with students over the first 3 years. We created a fully built out STEAM curriculum that actually meets the Georgia standards and is educating students on science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And then also within that space, we're really talking about science and sustainability, just like some of the other panelists were mentioning, the importance of educating our youth and really passing that along to the next generation. So for starters, we are actually a LEED Platinum certified building, the first sports stadium to achieve that goal. And in that mission, we have done some incredible things in offsetting our environmental footprint. And for a stadium as big as ours, with as many people that we bring in, it's an incredible achievement for us to continuously innovate around that space every year. But we have done some incredible things. We achieved LEED Platinum certification, and we did that by a few amazing integrated green infrastructure pieces. So first is our 1.1 million gallon water retention vault that actually sits alongside and underneath Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and not only captures the rainwater that is in and around the building, but is also tied into the stormwater drains that connect to our nearby West Side neighborhood, and alleviates flooding for a space that sits on top of Proctor Creek watershed and has a history of flooding. And when we talked about equity earlier, I mean, that's an important piece. We saw an issue that was happening in a community that was right next door. And when you start to build a building as big as ours, we knew that we could sort of help alleviate that. We also have 4,000 solar panels that are distributed around Mercedes-Benz Stadium that generate 1.6 million kilowatts annually. It's enough to power our entire Falcons home season and 13 Atlanta United matches on renewable energy alone. We also have EV charging stations that are built in to our parking areas that allow folks to plug in if they're coming to a match or a game. And then in addition, we have an incredible space in and around our building. We sit between two MARTA stations, which allows people to come to and from the building without driving 74,000 cars to downtown Atlanta, which nobody wants. And also the landscaping. So uniquely, we have, under that innovation area of our LEED Platinum certification, we created edible landscaping and bioswales that are helping with that water capture and renewing the water resource. But also within the edible landscaping, we have a permanent installation and 9 raised garden beds, which I actually oversee that sector of our space underneath the education program. And we're able to bring people into our urban garden, and we talk a lot about the initiatives that go along with urban agriculture in the city of Atlanta, but also the important education piece around growing your own food locally, buying locally, making sure that you have healthy soil. When we think about healthy soil as a solution for climate change, it actually sequesters carbon down from the atmosphere and stores it underneath us. And when we think about food waste going away, from a sports venue as big as ours, we have to think about, where does that food waste go? So we have incredible partners. Sophie was on our team for the first 3 years and really helped us get to that zero waste that she had spoken about. So we were on track to report that zero waste for Final Four in 2020. Obviously, we didn't get to complete that journey, but we are still on track to be there this year. And we've done incredible things with our supply chain, with having partners for composting and aluminum and recycled water bottles, and doing it together as a collaborative with our partners, with our community, and then educating and advocating for all of these different elements that I just explained. As a city, as a state, and as a country, if we work together, we can restore our earth, and we can definitely reverse some of these issues that we have brought on as humans. So I'm just very happy and grateful to be amongst this panel of amazing people doing the work, and hopefully we can continue to press on together and restore our earth.
Awesome things happening at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And thank you so much, Dawn, for letting us know what's happening and how you are educating everyone. So again, everyone who's watching, be sure to ask your questions in our chat. We will answer them at the end. We have 2 more panelists, and I have the pleasure of introducing Janet Sevilla, Manager of Sustainability and Corporate Social Responsibility at the Georgia World Congress Center. Hey, Janet, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be able to share what the Georgia World Congress Center is doing to help restore the earth. And so we are doing it in a very unique way. We are doing it through urban agriculture and bees. And so here at the Authority, we integrate sustainability and corporate social responsibility into all aspects of our business through our 3 pillars of better communities, better leaders, and better environment. And this is all to meet our organizational mission to enhance the quality of life for all Georgians. And so our partnership with Be Downtown is a collaboration under our better environment pillars. So who is Be Downtown? So Be Downtown installs and maintains beehives on corporate campuses like ours that helps rebuild healthy bee populations while simultaneously engaging employees and providing leadership development. This is our 3rd year in our partnership. Recently, our beehives received a makeover in their homes that represents our 3 pillars of better communities, better environments, and better leaders. And I want to highlight our Better Leaders beehive when you come to campus and check it out. It has a special tribute to the civil rights leaders of the city of Atlanta, drawn on in their home. So our bees returned back to Georgia World Congress Center on Earth Day. It was part of the opening of the West Side Beltline Connector. So whenever you're on campus, take a walk over to Northside Drive and Boone Boulevard. They are on the corner of the Blue Lot. So honeybees, I know I seem very excited about it, but they are a very important species for us. So honeybees are the world's most important pollinators in regards to agricultural productions. Every year, we lose about 35% of the honeybees in the United States. Honeybees are responsible for every 3rd bite of food that we eat and 70 of the world's top 100 crops. The fact that the honeybees are dying is just very alarming, and such an alarming rate means that something is happening and we need to do something to impact their environments and listen to them. Studies have shown that bees thrive in urban areas because they have a stable living condition, they do not have many stressors, and there's more food for longer periods of time for them to enjoy. So fun fact about honeybees. One honeybee makes 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in her whole life. But together, a hive can produce over 50 pounds of honey in a matter of months. Talk about teamwork. Another fun fact is one honeybee can have over 1,000 pollination events in a single day. So how is GWCC impacting our environment? Through our partnership through Be Downtown, not only are we providing education around agriculture, but also we're bettering our environment. Our honeybees are around a lot of urban farms here in the city of Atlanta that help pollinate and produce food for the local farms. Also, the honeybees are here to teach people about the importance of agriculture, where our food comes from, as well as how to be better stewards of our environment. Another unique thing about our honeybees is that they are within a 3-mile radius. So they fly within a 3-mile radius. And so within the city of Atlanta, our hives overlap with other hives, such as the hives from True Living Wells, the Georgia Power Hives, and they create this corridor in which they are creating healthy pollinator environments. So through our partnership with Be Downtown, we are part of a 30-mile long, healthy honeybee corridor. So definitely excited about that. From a business perspective, there are not that many convention centers that have honeybees on campus, so that sets us apart. Also, the honey that is produced by our GWCCA hives, we use it in our food services. For Earth Month, we had our executive chef create a special GWCC dressing called Green Goodness with our GWCC honey. So if anyone is interested in learning how to make that recipe, go ahead and check out our Georgia World Congress Center social channels. Another exciting thing is that we offer employee engagement activities to our team members. We do hive tours. They get an opportunity to extract the honey and have an understanding of the role of what bees play in the overall ecosystem. Be Downtown has also done some leadership development, so that helps our staff professionally develop within their careers and kind of take some of the lessons that the bees have within their hives and how we apply them to business. So what does the future look like for us and our honeybees? We're definitely interested in looking to engage with different schools in Georgia and be able to provide educational resources to our teachers that they can take into the classroom. The future also looks like using our beehives as outdoor classrooms. And so thank you so much for this time to be able to talk about our GWCC. If you're interested, please stay connected with us on our Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn accounts.
Thank you so much, Janet. It was so fun learning about the honeybees and what the Georgia World Congress Center is doing to save them. So thank you so much. Again, you guys, if you have any questions out there, please make sure you are putting them in the chat. We have one more guest. Super excited to have Goodr on the panel. So next up, we have Zeb McLaurin, Sustainability Director at Goodr. Hey, Zeb.
Hey, it's good to be here. Hello, everybody. I'm Zeb McLaurin, the Sustainability Director at Goodr. And first and foremost, I would like to start off with talking about the issue at hand. So Goodr focuses on food waste management. And then some may know, many others may not know, food waste can actually make up about 1/3 of all the trash that is in the landfill. So that is one of the main things that we like to keep out as it develops methane gas, which is about some 27 to 30 times worse than carbon dioxide, and maintains that heat within our atmosphere. So that being said, Goodr is a sustainable food waste management company. We work with the likes of the Atlanta Airport, GWCC, and some of the other arenas and schools around Atlanta currently, or have in the past. We like to keep a lot of their edible food waste and non-edible food waste out of the waste stream by recovering their edible food waste and taking it to different nonprofits within a certain mileage from the facility that we're recovering it from, or pick up their non-edible food waste, like their scraps, either pre or post-consumer, and take those to different composting facilities or other partner facilities that we have that recycle them in some fashion. To this date, what sustainability really means at Goodr, it's very personal to me specifically, just because we know what the effects are of methane and food waste globally, not just here in Atlanta. But to speak on it more personally here in Atlanta, it's not just an environmental issue, but, sustainability can touch on things from a social aspect as well as closing that loop and connecting dots between different communities to help benefit each other. So we like to partner with, let's say, Truly Living Well, for example. You've heard their name mentioned earlier. We would like to bring some of our scraps over to them as they utilize those resources to help develop more compostable soil, to grow more produce to sell and give back to the community, as well as other different commercial facilities in the area, and that helps them close the loop on their cycle as well. As well as socially, there's a lot of people who have to choose between spending money on either groceries or bills, which is something that just should not happen. And so at Goodr, what we do is we try to become more of an economic sustainability or economic impact partner with different folks, with different organizations to help those communities at hand. And yeah, so that's all I got. Thank you for listening and tuning in.
Thank you, Zeb, and wonderful work going on at Goodr. We definitely appreciate what you guys are doing in the Atlanta community. So we're bringing everyone back for our panel discussion. Thank you, everyone, for letting us know what you and your organizations are doing to restore our Earth. So first question we have is for Michelle. Is the city of Atlanta implementing any plans or efforts to clean the trash around downtown Atlanta? What are some initiatives that the city has planned?
Actually, the city of Atlanta, there's an organization called the Keep Atlanta Beautiful Commission, and even through the pandemic, they are continuing to engage volunteers to clean up the trash downtown. And not only the litter that you physically see, but what people don't realize is when people litter, a lot of that material goes into our streams. And we are also setting up the catches in the streams, like in the Proctor Creek and then the Chattahoochee. They have trash catchers that are actually collecting some of that material. And interestingly enough, I was just with Georgia Tech last week, as some of the students are trying to figure out, what are you going to do with all of that plastic? Can you repurpose it? Can you make art with it? Can you sell it or make t-shirts or something like that? So we're very aware of the trash. And there are organizations, not only volunteer, and then also part of our Department of Public Works. We're having an issue because so many people have COVID, but when they get downtime, they actually are also helping pick litter up off the streets. It's a collective. So if you all see a place that needs to be unlittered, maybe we can all get together and do it ourselves. Don't wait on someone else. Let's tackle it ourselves.
Yes, I agree. And thank you for answering that question. And thank you for those in the audience who are asking. And if you still have more questions, feel free to ask. This is our Q&A portion of the panel. Next up, question number 2 is for Dawn. And anyone else on the panel, please feel free to chime in as well. How has COVID affected your sustainability goals and initiatives?
Yeah, so I highlighted a little, for briefly, that we were on track to be zero waste in 2020. We had completely, transformed our supply chain and procurement and all of that. And then, pause, insert COVID. We had to rethink safety concerns and health concerns. So things like our communal spaces on the concourses, which you would normally go get your refillable cup or your lettuce or your tomato for your hamburger, we had to take all of that away and insert individual mustard packets and things that we had worked so hard to get out of that supply chain. We had to think about safety and concerns first, but the other elements like the renewable energy and the water conservation, that all works on its own. We didn't really have to take a step back from any of those other spaces, but specifically, I think anything that was fan forward and fan connected, we had to rethink how we put that out into the concourse, into the stadium. But we were able to pivot in our urban garden, and instead of providing food for associates in our culinary academy, Westside Works, we actually donated all of the food in 2020 to local pantries and homeless shelters. So there were ways that we were positively impacting. We went backwards in some ways, but positively impacting our community as well.
And if I could add to that too, Jasmine, to kind of finish off where Dawn left off, and I think this just goes to show the partnership even on this panel, that we did the same thing, that when it was unexpected and we paused our operations, we obviously had enough supply to last us for 3 back-to-back events. So partnering up with Deb and Goodr, we were able to ensure that food actually went to organizations that had a need for it. So here at the arena, just like at the stadium, everything that can be donated is donated, and what can't will be composted. One thing to add is, yes, we had to remove frequent touch points because that was, frowned upon. You shouldn't have anywhere that was a frequent touch point because of the pandemic and the challenges it brought to us, and the increased use of single-use plastic items, whether it's gloves, whether it's masks, everything comes in additional packaging. So we did kind of take a few steps back, but here, one thing that we've been trying to instill, because we are training a new behavior, is that, training people where those items go, ensuring that your PPE and your masks, we added additional labels to our landfill stream, reminding people that that's where it goes, because the key is not contaminating your clean compost, not contaminating your clean recycling. So we train our team that if in doubt, throw it out, because we don't want to contaminate our recycling and our compost. And although this is easier said than done, and I completely understand what Dawn is saying, I like to always challenge the idea that safety and security will always be priority. It'll always come first, because we want to make sure our fans are safe and secure when they enter our building. But what's important is that we really need to shift our mindsets. We need to get away from that old mindset, thinking of where does sustainability fall and the importance of safety and security, but really make it a part of everything that we do. So now I think this is a great opportunity, while we're retraining ourselves to do it on the path to zero waste and everything else that everybody is doing. So I think there's many ways to look at it, and it is a challenging way to look at it. And sometimes I can be overzealous in my ambitions, but I think all of us are here because in some way or form we began being overzealous, and look at where we are now. We've planted seeds, and now we're growing it, and we're doing it as a partnership. So just to keep in mind that even though there are challenges, it's all about being educated and having access to do the right thing.
Absolutely, yes. And actually, Sophie, we have our next question is for you as well, from the audience. So, earlier you talked about post-use diversion, and this is a plus, but what are these large, powerful entities, the city, the airport, and GSU? So this is also for everyone as well, doing to put pressure on producers, vendors to make sure products are fully biodegradable, recyclable, and renewable. So this is for Sophie, but also everyone else on the panel as well.
So I can, I unfortunately can't speak for our partners and what everyone is doing, but I do think we do have a platform and we have a voice, and we can demand certain products that is available. I think we have an opportunity to pilot ourselves to create, come up with a new concept and see how that works. There is a lot of opportunity to have more truly compostable items. One thing that I would remind us all is that sustainability, the term, is used very vaguely. Same thing with biodegradable. Technically, everything biodegrades, except you don't want the items that take 1,000 years to biodegrade. So you want to be very careful in what you purchase and do your research, because it could be marketed as biodegradable, but it will not work if you try to truly compost it. So I think asking for alternatives is important, and using our voices and our platforms, whether it's the organization that we represent, or if we go out to eat somewhere, if you go out to eat somewhere, let your waiter or waitress know, don't bring me a straw, please. Unless you absolutely need one, then of course it should be available upon request. But I think where we can make an impact in our city is when we go out to eat, and at the end of your meal, if you have leftovers and you want to get it to go and they come out with a styrofoam container, it's our job to speak up and say, hey, what are you guys' plans to get rid of the styrofoam? And when are you planning on switching to compostable? I'd love to talk to a manager about it and understand what your plans are. And then understanding that our choices matter. Where we go and spend our money matters. And it's important that we as leaders bring up those conversations and really show what the demand is. And I'm sorry I can't address the other part, but maybe somebody else can speak to the other brands.
Well, I believe that COVID has made things a little bit different here for everyone. And with that said, we are offering a takeout option in our dining locations, and we decided to go ahead and go with a compostable component to that. So this did a couple of things. One, we put regulations on that if you took it out, it could only fill up one box. So now it helps us on our food waste. Instead of a student sitting inside a dining facility eating 4 plates and they only eat half the food on there. So we're reducing that food waste and the carbon footprint to bring those groceries back into us. But also we've done a recycling to go program with a company called Ozy, where it's actually a reusable container. And the students can actually bring that in dirty to us. We'll clean it, and they get a clean one every time they come in. So at that point, we're also giving those out at move-in so that the students have them already ready to go, so they can come and bring those. We all offer a discount in our retail areas when they bring those containers in, so that they're getting some sort of reward, some satisfaction, and monetary satisfaction based on them doing, well, as far as I'm concerned, the right thing. And then beyond that, I think that just as Michelle has said, it's just working together and making a group effort on those things. Michelle, we're actually getting ready to go through a materials master plan. And part of that, I have said that I'd like to be repeating the same message that the city of Atlanta is using. Therefore, when people walking from downtown, the very capital area, and walking to Georgia State, it's the same message across the board. So nobody has to, it's educating people to make the move. So.
And that's what's critical about expanding our message, because if Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, and we've even gone to do audits, like food audits at Atlanta Hartsfield, we've let all the concessionaires know that you cannot use styrofoam for takeout. So we've done audits, and we were very impressed to see that there was barely, matter of fact, there was, I think, 1 styrofoam cup when we actually did a food audit in the back of house for all of those restaurants. And it's not just the city of Atlanta or Georgia State or Georgia World Congress Center. It's all of us. It's Wawa. It's Truly Living Well. It's like we have the HBCU Center. We have all of these other partners. Unfortunately, everyone couldn't be a part, but we are just a microcosm of what's going on in our city and our region and our state and in our planet that really needs to be aware of the material we use, what happens to it, the whole life cycle. And especially with these aggressive goals coming up now, we're going to even have to be more sensitive about, all this material, what happens to it at, end of life.
Yeah. And I'll quickly add that from the Georgia World Congress Center perspective, we've developed a waste diversion guide that we share with our event planners. So when they're having those planning meetings, we have an understanding kind of what are the materials that are coming into our building. And also, not many people know, we're developing an in-kind donation program. And so if there are materials that are left behind after trade shows and conferences, our department gets a list of what those items are. I'll use Final Four as an example, perfect example. We were set to have that in our building. And so a lot of the, whether it was promotional items, t-shirts, even basketball equipment, we were able to redirect it to different nonprofit organizations and have it create a second life cycle of the product as opposed to just kind of disposing of it.
I love that. Thank you guys for answering that. And just to be conscious of time, we have a little less than 10 minutes. So I'm going to kind of wrap up these questions real quickly and kind of skip around for the panelists. So I'm not going in the order that we know that there is. So quick question for Zeb. What is the best way to help make an impact as an individual who isn't directly connected to an organization? And anyone can answer this as well.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if as an individual, I guess we're talking about the food donation aspect of it. I would really just kind of either, I mean, it's 2021, social media is out there. If you can't get out there and help, join an organization yourself or I mean, I can't really tell you to go out and feed folks on the street, at least not in Atlanta, since you might get a ticket for it now. But I mean, you can always go and promote, donate to your favorite organization, spread the word about what it is that they're doing. I mean, I would say those are probably, or start one yourself. I would say those are probably the best ways to get involved if you're not already directly connected to somebody.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Dawn. Sorry.
I was going to say, just as an individual, just thinking about your own personal environmental footprint and what that impact is every single day, how much food you could be, composting, what are some different products that you can switch out that you use in your home, how much time do you spend in your car driving. These little bitty decisions that you make on a daily basis add up to a whole impact. And so I think if you can cut down one or two things, that reusable garbage bag, that reusable water bottle, these different things really make an impact as a whole.
Absolutely. And our next question is for Lenore. So does the GSU Main Atlanta campus have rooftop gardens and more plans for green spaces?
So rooftop gardens, no. They do have College of Law, CMII building do have more like rooftop patios with some garden aspects to it. From our facility standpoint, a lot of our buildings are older, and so the quality and the structure of the building doesn't necessarily support a rooftop garden. It has been brought up many a times and so forth, but that has been their stance. A lot of our buildings are also historical buildings, and so therefore we have to go through the historical district and get it approved and those sort of things, which tends to be a little challenging in those manners. But it is on the forefront, that, and even some solar panels on them. Now the solar panels are becoming much lighter, much more efficient. Those sort of things are still things that we are looking into.
Perfect, thank you. Our next question is for Janet. So how much honey has been produced through the partnership with Be Atlanta, or excuse me, Be Downtown?
So we've produced over 400 pounds of honey since the start of our partnership. And then just in 2020, yes, for honey, we produced over 160 pounds. So our bees flew over 9.3 miles to be able to produce this honey.
That's awesome. So much honey produced. So we have 5 minutes left. I'm going to try to get 3 questions in. But our next question, so we kind of already answered that. So Zeb, how does Goodr help with local food deserts in the local Atlanta area? And is there a way for students to get involved with food recycling or composting?
Yeah, so Goodr, we actually kind of target those areas now. So when we do recover food, we like to focus on those food deserts. So we actually, I think in 2019, we actually developed kind of like a graph or a chart or a table to where we were tracking how much value we were putting into these communities by the amount, the retail value of the food we were diverting to those communities and not to the landfill, as well as the tax credits and the total weight. And then we were also tracking what the amount the per capita income in those different zip codes were. So we got a good idea of which areas to kind of focus on putting food into. And then, so for students, there are a lot of, I've come across a lot of student-led organizations, especially the pantries on campus pantries. They do a very good job so far. The only thing that, a lot of them have said they could do better in is the data collection aspect of it. But you know, I know KSU, for example, you know, they have you know, their student-run composting for a while, and then, you know, they have their student-led organization for their pantry as well. So if your college already doesn't have one, then I would definitely go ahead and say, you know, either come talk to me in Goodr, or go ahead and try to start one yourselves, depending upon, you know, how many people you can get to join.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Zeb. And we have about 3 minutes left. I want to turn it back to our panelists. If anyone has any last words to give before our time is up, this is now your time.
I think I saw somebody write in the comments, Dr. Edel, or sorry if I'm not reading it right, D. Redel 32, our choices matter. Yes, they do. It sounds so simple, but this is a journey that takes all of us. Our choices matter, and always remember, reject, reduce, reuse, and then lastly, recycle or compost.
Thank you, Sophie. That's awesome. Anyone else have any last words?
I did see one question that I do want to highlight because it's a fun one. And what is edible landscaping? So Mercedes-Benz Stadium uniquely, as part of that innovation, integrated the edible landscaping, and it's food producing space, but it's also diversity. So when you think about planting food and pollinators and trees, having a diverse environment, just like we need diversity in our companies and organizations and around the world, it really helps the soil health by having diverse plants and things that are integrated into the soil. It helps those microorganisms underneath us, and it also produces food, which is amazing. So that just wanted to touch on that as well.
Thank you, Dawn.
I wanted to point out that if there are any educators in the state of Georgia that are interested in kind of getting connected and learning more about our bees, please reach out to us through our social media channels, send in a quick message, and we can talk about how to get this type of educational content, urban agriculture, out to your students.
Can I just say ditto on that with the tours education program that we run at the stadium? Thanks, Janet. Yes, I've been joining classrooms virtually for the past year. It's really, really amazing. It's been a cool experience, and happy to bring that to anyone else.
They can make it a field trip. We are neighbors. We are across the street from each other. So come over, hang out with our bees, and do a STEM tour.
And all of your hard to recycle stuff, take it to Charm. If you don't know what to do with it, take it to Charm.
And finally, I just want to make one last comment and draw down that talks about what are the 100 things that we can all do. It talks about how important it is to have women at the table talking about environmental issues, and also how important it is to look at the indigenous peoples and how a lot of the things that we're talking about are like going back to basics. So I just want to highlight and amplify that. It's, you know, females getting involved, it's young people getting involved, it's, you know, it's the bees. It's going to take us all to get us out of what has transpired in the past 150 years to get us on the other side.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle, for those last words. And again, thank you so much, Zeb, Dawn, Michelle, Sophie, Lenore, and Janet. It's been a pleasure hearing about what each of your organizations are doing and what you're doing to help restore our Earth. I'm honored to be able to moderate this panel on behalf of Georgia State University Young Alumni Council. Thank you, everyone, joining in for attending our panel discussion. And again, reach out to everyone individually if you have any other questions. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.